to give remarks.
This week was filled with stories of President Park Geun-hye's trip to the Netherlands and her state visit to Germany. Arirang TV's presidential office correspondent Choi You-sun traveled with the president as part of the press team. She covered President Park's keynote address at the Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague, as well as the South Korean leader's first meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in trilateral talks between South Korea, the United States, and Japan. Plus, she also covered President Park's reunification address in Dresden, Germany. President Park's visits were centered on unification and the economy, and we were able to get a firm grasp of the South Korean leader's achievements and the details of her visits through Choi You-sun's reports.
I prepared flowers for G-Dragon to cheer him up for the concert.
I've been waiting for 2 months for this concert.
A K-pop concert co-organized by Arirang TV was held on March 22nd in Shanghai, China. Through a report by Arirang TV's Yu Lian, it was clear to see how popular K-pop is in China. A total of 12 artists, including Big Bang's G-Dragon and Taeyang, performed. Fans filled up the 18,000-seat stadium, and it was impressive to see them all singing along to the K-pop hits. The concert will be broadcast on Arirang TV to over 100 million households around the world on April 11th and 18th. Four years may have passed, but we haven't forgotten the tragic incident that left the whole country in tears on March 26, 2010. The South Korean warship Cheonan was sunk in waters off of the west coast of the Korean peninsula, and 46 sailors lost their lives that day. On Wednesday, March 26, Arirang TV's Kim Hyun-bin attended the memorial ceremony held at the Daejeon National Cemetery to commemorate the 4th anniversary of the tragic incident. The memorial ceremony was held not just to remember the 46 brave sailors who died in the tragic incident. It was also a chance to hear strong words of criticism against North Korea's recent missile provocations.
I think going on the field is always a must, and to meet as many people and those people essential to my story in terms of interviews and the footage as well.
It's normal for her to always be on the go. She has to experience everything firsthand, and she's always in the middle of the action. It's reporter Song Ji-sun, who believes a good report is the result of a lot of legwork.
So I think that's one of the reasons I chose this port as a site to cover the story.
Today's location is overwhelming in its size. Reporter Song Ji-sun's passionate news coverage starts now. Ji-sun is busy interviewing an expert. It's like a preview of her coverage.
중국 승용차 시장에서 최고치인 8.8%를 기록했는데 우리나라 자동차 선전하는 이유라던가 비결은 어떤 걸로 볼 수 있을까요?
네. 국내 완성차 업계는 중국 시장에 적기에 진출을 했습니다. 진출 후에는 선제적인 투자를 통해서 생산 능력을 계속해서 확충해 왔는데요. 이것이 어떻게 보면 주요했다고도 봅니다. 그렇지만 무엇보다 중요한 점은 이 완성차 업계가 중국 소비자들의 욕구나 취향을 충족시킬 수 있는 현지화 모델을 개발해서 판매했기 때문에 최근과 같은 이 판매 증가세가 지속되고 있습니다.
단일 국가로는 우리나라 거의 최고 수준이라고 볼 수 있는데 어떤 의미가 있고 또 10%를 달성하는 것은 또 어떻게 해석을 할 수가 있을까요, 향후에?
이 중국 시장의 판매는 지속적으로 증가해서 약 2020년경에는 3,500만 대 수준을 넘어설 것으로 지금 예상을 하고 있습니다. 또한 중국 시장의 성장세가 지속되고 있고 선진국 시장의 성장세는 둔화되고 있기 때문에 성장 시장에서의 시장 점유율 확대만이 우리 국내 완성차 업계가 향후 이 1,000만 대 판매 목표 달성에도 도달할 수 있는 하나의 그 기반이 될 수 있다고 봅니다.
The South Korean auto industry is doing well in the Chinese market, and a report all started from positive news and numbers.
We just got this data from last year that Korea's automakers got their market share in China up to 8.8%, and that was the highest record. And it's especially significant because China is the biggest market in the world with over 20 million cars and the market demands. So I think I wanted to give them like a new insight of how we can better engage in the market and even raise our share to the Hyundai Kia Motors market goal of 10%, which is a landmark in the auto industry where a brand can earn a stable growth as well as its reputation.
The Pyeongtaek International Trade Port in Gyeonggi-do province is a 2-hour drive from Seoul. There seems to be no end to the tightly packed vehicles.
차량들이 힘이 빠르게 움직여요.
네네.
그러니까 이제 동선 이동하실 때 그 안전사고에 유의하셔가지고 잘 보고 다니셔야 돼요.
Request for safety is considered a greeting here. Curiosity abounds over this place. We are left speechless by the view from the rooftop. All we can see are cars lined up all over the place. Ji-sun has been to many different locations, but this place is unfamiliar to her, and she is amazed by everything she sees.
오, 트럭. 오.
그거 안 따라오고 우리끼리 가야 되죠.
올 거예요.
The open-air storage yard is so vast that it's hard to find a good camera angle. The Pyeongtaek Port is the Seoul International Trade Port in Gyeonggi-do province. It is considered the Mecca of Korea's car exports, as it has come in first place for 4 consecutive years in terms of the export and import of vehicles.
그래도 차종이 다양한 편이네. 나 오늘 SUV만 들어간다 그래서.
Korean vehicles waiting to be shipped out fill up the vast open storage yard. Each vehicle has a different final destination.
이라크 가는 차. 사우디아라비아.
Ji-sun carefully inspects every inch of the cars. She can't help but become curious when covering stories, and this one is no exception.
I've seen in the video many times over of the port filled with a lot of cars, but I really want to see with my eyes, and that was one of my goals of covering the story. And when I actually arrived at port, I was really overwhelmed by the millions of cars filling the shipyard. And moreover, I was really astonished by the speed of the cars driving in the port to be loaded onto the vessel, because they were driving at least 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. And it was really, really fast, much faster than I expected. So that was like one impressive view I got to experience on site. And the reason I chose Pyeongtaek as the port to cover in the story was because it was the #1 port in Korea in terms of auto trades. They've handled more than 1.4 million cars last year, and over the past dozen years, 10 million cars accumulated.
네, 송주선입니다. 지금 6호 모닝레나호 보이는데, 그러니까 이제 부두 쪽으로 이제 건물에서 쭉 직진하시면은 이제 중간 쪽 도로에 있어요. 여기 네. 그러니까 저쪽 빨간 배 있는 쪽으로요. 네, 알겠습니다. 네. 무서워. 여긴 무서운 곳이야. 무서운 곳이야.
근데 지금 아다시피
네네.
여기가 좀 복잡해요.
네, 저희가
그러니까
방해 안 되게 잘 피해 다니는.
현대차가 이쪽에 있고 기아차는 여기 있거든요.
네네. 근데 지금 둘 다 선정을 하고.
네. 조금 내리는 거라든지 이런 거 좀 되시고.
알겠습니다.
저쪽으로 가시죠.
한 번만 붙잡아서 이렇게 안내해 주시는 분들 이제 수신호가 있잖아요. 네, 그런 것들 말씀드리는 건 한 5분도 안 걸릴 것 같아요. 아니면 지금 붙잡을까요?
싫지 않으면.
안녕하세요. 저희 지금 아리랑 TV에서 촬영 중인데요.
네.
저희 지금 이렇게 안내해 주시는 분들이랑 여기 안에서 운전할 때 그런 주의사항 같은 거 한 말씀만 좀 부탁드려도 될까요?
지금요. 이거 굉장히 지금 100km 이상씩 와요.
The cars whiz past like they're in a race. It's to ship those cars all the more efficiently and quickly. Safety is the top priority, and so getting an interview is a tough task.
그럼 이거 들어오고 나서 아니면 저 지금 타신 분들 중에라도
검수 이거 하나 숫자 세 있는 사람.
다른 작업 하는 사람.
예, 여기 굉장히 위험했다니까요.
일단 여기서
사고 많이 나요 여기. 거기 가서 식사하시면서 물어보세요 그거.
아, 네, 저희가 촬영을 여기서 해야 돼가지고.
안 나오지 그 사람들도 자기 시스템이
근데 지금 저희한테 잠깐만요. 저희한테 해주신 말씀은 지금 여기 빠른 속도로 움직이고 위험하고 그런 말씀은 한 10초 정도만 해주시면 되는데.
아, 그거는 저 할 수도 없고.
It's very restricted and very highly controlled area. And we had to abide by those rules as well. And we could not walk around or just like drive any cars because all the cars are driving to be loaded to the ship. And we should not be interfering with the procedure because it's very outlined according to time schedule. So we had to not be any obstacle to the people working there. So that was the one thing we had to keep in mind all the time. And of course, we tried not to be making any damage to cars there because they are very worthwhile to the companies, and we should not be bothering the company who are actually helping us to cover the story.
네, 보통 몇 대 정도가 지금 이 야적장에 있나요?
지금 한 7,000대 정도가 야적장에 되어 있고요. 현대차로서는 한 500여 대 지금 현재 지장되어 있습니다.
네, 오늘 정말 큰 규모의 이제 배에 선적이 됐는데 오늘 같은 경우는 몇 대가 총 실렸고 이제 하루에 몇 분 정도께서 이 차를 전부 다 실으시는지 간단하게 설명 좀 부탁드릴게요.
오늘 선적해놓은 물량은 3,200대 정도로서 현대기아차 물량을 선적하고 이틀 정도의 선적을 하면서 한 60여 명이 아침서부터 저녁까지 선적이 됩니다.
여기 입지로 봤을 때 다른 대륙으로 나가는 곳이 위치상으로 여기가 어떤 장점이 있나요, 평택이?
울산에서 선적을 하지만은 현대기아차는 평택항이 메인 부두로서 주 항구가 되겠죠. 그렇기 때문에 서해안에서 선적하는 게 제일 적합한 위치라고 생각해서 평택항을 개발하게 돼서 선적을 하고 있습니다.
네, 여기까지만 된 것 같습니다. 저희 여기 차량 옆에 조금만 같이 말씀 나누는 것만 찍으면은 다 될 것 같아요. 그리고 검사필 같은 게 되게 많이 붙어 있던데.
There are many restrictions in this news coverage, but she soothes her disappointment by interviewing an expert who has been in the field for 35 years.
네. 검사를 해서 문제 없는 차량은 바로 선적이 됩니다.
There is a fierce fight against time to distribute more vehicles. It usually takes about 2 days for a ship to depart after it is loaded with vehicles at the open storage yard.
이 정도 배가 몇 톤급에 몇 대가 실리는 거예요?
배가 35,000톤급에
네.
6,000대 정도.
6,000대. 이게 가장 큰 수준인가? 아니면 더 큰 것도?
더 큰 것도 있어요.
더 큰 거는 몇 대까지?
대조선이 있는데
네.
7,200대.
아, 보통 이 정도면 그만 평균
그렇죠,
10
기존.
되는 거고 중간 뭐 작은 것도
캐리어로
있나요?
봐서는 6,000대 시리즈가 아주 많습니다.
Ji-sun runs quickly when there aren't any cars whizzing by. The cars head into the ship in an orderly fashion, just like iron being drawn to a magnet. Upon seeing something unfamiliar to her, Ji-sun has a lot of questions to ask.
사람들이 갔다가 다시 차를 몰고 오는 거죠?
그렇죠. 한 차가 달리는 게 4사람이 타고 운전기사 타고 5명이 타는 거예요.
그러면 지금 몇 번 더 라운드가 돌지 알 수 있나요?
그 시간을 시간대로 계속 왔다 갔다 이게 들어갔다가 내려가는 화물도 있고 저 위에 올라시는 것도 있고요. 11층까지 올라가는 경우도 있고.
이건 몇 층까지 있어요?
11층.
이 배가 11층이요?
11층 아파트라고 보시면 돼요.
There are a lot of people and authorities involved in it, and the ship is a separate matter. And the ship was not of Korean identity, it was owned by a foreign owner. And he refused to give us access to the ship, which was loading the vessels, the cars. So although we really want to get in there and see the 11-story high ship where all the cars are going to be loaded, we were unable to actually get in the ship. That was one thing I wanted to but could not. So that was one of the reasons I had to shoot in front of the ship on the dock with my stand-up, explain the situation there.
Approximately 6,000 cars are loaded each day. That means 60 people have to move efficiently to and from the open storage yard to the ship from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. to make the deadline.
아니면은 나는 그냥 가만히 있고 선배가 펜을 해도 되고
50분에 시작해서 11시 10분, 한 5분까지 들어올 거예요, 5분.
소리 체크해 빨리.
Ji-sun prepares to do her stand-up with the busily moving cars as the backdrop.
More than 1 million vehicles are shipped in and out of this port every year, making it Korea's biggest shipyard in terms of auto trades.
At times, a scene from a location filled with excitement speaks louder than a 10-line article.
More than 1 million vehicles are shipped in and out of this port every year, making it Korea's biggest shipyard in terms of auto trades. 천천히 할까? 좀 늦게 할까? 돌기 시작하면 할까? More than 1 million vehicles are shipped in and out of this port every year, making it Korea's biggest shipyard in terms of auto trades.
So, Ji-sun, I can see a lot of cars behind you. Are we expecting another outbound shipment to China today?
So you can't really see far behind me, but there are vessels, car carriers that have just unloaded cars.
For a better story, Ji-sun is always on the go and moving quickly.
About an hour drive from the capital, Seoul. Less than a week after these cars were 500 units will be bound to ship to be the Chinese.
We look forward to where she will take us next.
Those are the ones that Korean automakers should focus more. I think I achieved the point where I wanted to show the viewers of the huge shipyard and all the cars that were loaded into the vessel and how fast they were and how many cars were there with their own eyes. By my footages, it was worthwhile that we went to the port where we could actually shoot the cars that were going to China. And at the same time, we got to know that the cars exported from Korea were of a very specific features that were hybrid and green energy cars, which was Beijing's goal for the car market. They're now aiming for a more of an environmental friendly cars, and I think I pointed that insight out to the Korean automakers that they should focus on that market now. So overall, I think I was successful enough to deliver those points to the viewers and the industry people as well.
Nuclear Security Summit set to open later on Monday.
She will then give an opening speech at the Nuclear Security Summit.
이게 프라임 미니스터가 한 다음에 박근혜 대통령이 하시잖아요. 그래서 약간 다음에 반기문 총장이 이거 끝나고 나서
나중에 4포인트 프로포전 해서 9번, 11번, 12번, 13번은 가고 얘는 그냥 일반 슬럭으로.
이게 좀 길었던 조금 근데
그래도 잘 보여요, 저 정도면.
I'm just writing like a one-sentence summary of President Park Geun-hye's speech in The Hague so that our viewers can understand better of what she's saying in her keynote speech.
영어 버전 나오면 줄게요.
네네네. President, we don't have an English version though.
예, 그림 들어와요. 예. 장소 시즈 한번 주세요. 5, 4, 3, 2, 스타트.
Hello everyone, I'm Geun-hye in Seoul. Welcome to the special coverage of the opening ceremony of this year's Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague. And as we wait, we are going to get a preview of President Park's much anticipated speech. We bring in Dr. Geun-hye, Professor of Nuclear Engineering at Seoul National University. But thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. They have
교수님으로 빠질게요.
and physically protected. Actually, it's
Moving in.
2 years since the second nuclear security summit. Now it's time to do their own homework back home and back.
뭐 아직 시작할 기미도 안 보이네.
hottest spot in the world because we're talking about Yongbyon
앵카 컷.
graphite reactors.
주저 들리십니까?
네, 말씀하세요.
계획보다 지금 한 예상으로는 10분 늦게 갈 것 같거든요.
예, 저희 쪽 지금 편성 변경했기 때문에 괜찮아요.
네, 알겠습니다.
It's not the only organization. We have to be. It's not in a position to prediction.
지금 현장에서 핵 관련 동영상 상영하거든요. 그거 뭐 잠깐 보시죠 하든지요.
There.
Just to look quick on what we're seeing here is, I believe, a clip.
They're playing from Nuclear Security Summit.
So let's listen to Dutch Prime Minister
Mark
Rutte taking the stage, which will be followed by President Park Geun-hye's speech. Let's listen in.
Moving in.
We celebrated its centenary a few months ago. It's a short walk from this convention center. Over the past 100 years,
존경하는 각국 지도자 그리고
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests.
Moving out.
We begin urgently conclude the fissile material cutoff treaty. Regional dialogue mechanisms in the area of nuclear security.
In Northeast Asia, currently, there are 23% of the world's nuclear reactors. Will contribute not only to strengthening the physical protection of nuclear facilities, but to build trust among countries in the region. Third, we must overcome the capacity gap among states in implementing nuclear security.
Moving out. 장소요.
Together to building a safe.
끝났습니다. 거의 다.
And I urge you to do all the best. So let us all do the best we can. Thank you.
네. 갈게요.
Right, that was President Park Geun-hye's speech at the Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague, making some very strong points and some strong words for participating nations at the summit. And we go back to Professor Seo of Seoul National University for a quick comment. What did you make of President Park Geun-hye's speech, especially the 4-point proposal?
I'm impressed.
Unexpected events always happen. We had a 20-minute delay, so we had to fill in the time. But thank God we have Professor Geun-hye to help us fill in the time. Through this experience, I think I learned a great deal about Nuclear Security Summit. I had to squeeze out all my knowledge on nuclear-related issues, but it was a great experience.